The hospital no longer felt like a place of healing. It felt like a battlefield. Machines beeped, nurses moved quickly, doctors spoke in hushed urgency. But Zara heard none of it clearly. All she could hear was the echo of one sentence in her mind. She was poisoned. Her mother lay behind those doors, fighting for her life, again. And this time it wasn't poverty. It wasn't sickness. It was intentional. Zara stood still in the middle of the corridor. Her fists clenched so tightly her nails dug into her skin. The pain grounded her, focused her. No tears came, only silence, only rage. Zara. She didn't turn. She knew that voice. Adrian. He had arrived faster than expected, his presence cutting through the chaos like a blade. His expression was different now, not controlled, not distant, furious. What happened? He asked. Zara let out a quiet, humorless laugh. You tell me. Adrian's jaw tightened. Don't do that. She spun around sharply. Don't do what? Your fiancé just tried to kill my mother. The words hit hard. People nearby turned. But neither of them cared. I didn't authorize this, Adrian said coldly. Zara stared at him like he had just insulted her intelligence. Oh, that makes it better. She tried to kill her without your permission. Adrian stepped closer, lowering his voice. I will handle Vanessa. Zara shook her head slowly. No. That single word carried something new, something dangerous. You don't get to handle this, she continued. This is mine. Adrian frowned. Zara, you said I'm your daughter, right? A pause. Yes. Then watch me. Before he could respond, Zara turned and walked away. Not running, not panicking, walking, controlled, focused, like someone who had already made a decision. That was the moment Adrian realized something. This wasn't just anger anymore. Zara had crossed into something else, something darker, across the city. Vanessa sat calmly in her penthouse, sipping wine like nothing had happened. The news had already reached her. Aisha was still alive. Barely. Vanessa sighed softly. Unfortunate. She set her glass down and walked toward the window, but there was no panic in her. No fear. Because in her mind, she had already won. A knock came at the door. Come in. The man from earlier stepped in, slightly bruised from his encounter with Adrian. It didn't work, he said. Vanessa didn't turn. Clearly. She's at the hospital, and Adrian knows. That made Vanessa smile faintly. Good. The man frowned. Good? Vanessa finally turned, her expression calm but sharp. I don't need her dead yet, she said. I just needed her to suffer. Meanwhile, Zara didn't go back to the mansion. She went somewhere else, somewhere familiar. Ajagunle. The streets hadn't changed. Still loud, still chaotic, still real. Zara walked through them like she never left, her eyes scanning every corner until she found who she was looking for. Tunde. He was at his workshop fixing an engine when he saw her. Zara? He wiped his hands quickly and rushed toward her. What are you doing here? I thought you... She was poisoned. Tunde froze. What? My mother, Zara said, her voice flat. Someone tried to kill her. Tunde's expression darkened instantly. Who? Zara held his gaze. Rich people. That was all she needed to say. Tunde clenched his fists. What do you need? Zara didn't hesitate. I need information. About who? Vanessa. The name alone made Tunde uneasy. I've heard of her, he said slowly. She's not someone you mess with. Zara stepped closer. Good. Her eyes were cold. Because I'm not planning to mess with her. A pause. I'm planning to destroy her. Tunde studied her carefully. This wasn't the Zara he knew. This version was dangerous. But he nodded anyway. All right, he said. Then we do it smart. Back at the hospital, Adrian stood outside Aisha's room, staring through the glass. Machines surrounded her. Her body looked fragile. Too fragile. Regret settled heavily in his chest. He had built an empire, but failed to protect the only people who mattered. Daniel approached quietly. Sir, we traced it. Adrian didn't look at him. Say it. Daniel hesitated. Then, it leads back to Vanessa. Adrian closed his eyes briefly. Of course it did. Prepare everything, Adrian said coldly. Daniel frowned. Everything? Adrian turned slowly, and for the first time, there was no hesitation in his eyes. I'm ending this. That night, Zara sat with Tunde in a small dim room filled with old computers and scattered files. On the screen, Vanessa's life unfolded. Business deals, connections, secrets, enemies. She's not clean, Tunde said. Far from it. Zara leaned forward slightly. Good. Tunde glanced at her. Zara, if you go after her, there's no going back. Zara didn't blink. I'm not planning to come back. Just then, Tunde's phone buzzed. He checked it. His expression changed. What? Zara asked. Tunde hesitated, then turned the screen toward her. A message from an unknown number. Stop digging, or the next one dies. Zara stared at it, unmoving, unshaken. Then slowly, she smiled. Too late, she whispered, but what she didn't know was that the betrayal had already begun, because the message didn't come from Vanessa. It came from someone much closer. And by the time Zara found out the truth, it would be too late. The message stayed on the screen. Stop digging, or the next one dies. Zara didn't flinch, didn't panic, didn't even blink. She just stared at it, like she was daring whoever sent it to try again. Tunde, however, wasn't as calm. This is serious, Zara, he said, lowering his voice. Whoever sent this knows what we're doing. Zara leaned back slightly, her expression unreadable. Good, she said quietly. Tunde frowned. Good? Yes, it means we're close. But even as she said it, something felt off. Not fear, not doubt, something deeper, something instinctive. Zara turned slowly toward Tunde. You showed this to anyone else? She asked. Tunde shook his head immediately. No, just me. Are you sure? Yes, Zara, why would I? She cut him off with a look, sharp, suspicious, searching. Tunde felt it, that shift. Wait, you think I? Zara didn't answer immediately, but the silence said enough. Zara, he said, his voice tightening, I grew up with you. I've had your back since day one. I know, she replied. Then why are you looking at me like that? Zara exhaled slowly, because something didn't add up, and right now, trust was a luxury she couldn't afford. Before she could respond, her phone rang. Adrian. She hesitated, then picked up. What? His voice came through, urgent. Where are you? Zara frowned. Why? Just answer the question. She glanced at Tunde briefly. Ajagunle, a pause. Then stay there. Don't move. I'm coming. The line cut. Zara's eyes narrowed slightly. That tone, it wasn't control. It was warning. What is it? Tunde asked. Zara shook her head. I don't know yet. But she could feel it. Something was coming. Across the city, Adrian's car sped through traffic like a storm breaking loose. Daniel sat beside him. Tense. Are you sure? Daniel asked. Adrian's grip tightened on the wheel. I saw it myself. The screen. The footage. The truth. If we're right, Daniel continued carefully, then she's not safe anywhere. Adrian didn't respond, because deep down, he knew something worse. She wasn't just in danger, she was already inside it. Back in Ajagunle, Zara stood outside with Tunde, arms crossed, waiting. The air felt heavier now, quieter, like the streets themselves were watching. Then Adrian's car pulled up, fast, too fast. He stepped out immediately, no greetings, no explanations. Get in the car, he said. Zara frowned. What? Now. His tone left no room for argument, but Zara didn't move. You don't get to command me, she said coldly. What's going on? Adrian looked at her, really looked at her, then said the words that changed everything again. You're being set up. Silence. Tunde stiffened slightly, Zara's eyes narrowed. Explain. Adrian turned to Daniel. The screen was handed over. Zara took it, looked at it and froze. It was a video, security footage, from the hospital. A nurse walking into her mother's room, adjusting the IV, calm, careful, intentional. Zara leaned closer, her heart pounding. Then the nurse turned slightly, and her face became clear. Zara's breath caught, her grip tightened, her entire body went still. No, because she knew that face. Tunde. The phone slipped from her hand. The world tilted. Her chest tightened painfully. She turned slowly, very slowly. To face him, Tunde was already looking at her, but his expression wasn't the same. Gone was the worry, gone was the concern, gone was the loyalty. In its place was something colder. I was going to tell you, he said quietly. That was it. That was all it took. Zara moved. Fast. Her fist connected with his face before he could react. He staggered back, stunned. You poisoned her? She shouted. She shouted, her voice breaking for the first time. Tunde wiped blood from his lips slowly. I didn't have a choice. You always had a choice. Her voice echoed through the street. People began to gather, but no one dared come close. They would have killed me, he snapped back. You don't understand the kind of people we're dealing with. Zara laughed bitterly, tears finally spilling. No, I understand perfectly now. She stepped closer, her voice dropped, cold, deadly. You chose them. Tunde shook his head quickly. I chose to survive, and she almost died because of it. Silence crashed between them, heavy, final. Adrian stepped forward slightly. Who sent you? He asked. Tunde hesitated. His eyes flicked briefly toward Zara, then away. That hesitation was enough. Zara's voice came out like a whisper. Say it. Tunde swallowed hard. Then, it wasn't Vanessa. Everything stopped. Adrian's eyes narrowed instantly. What? Tunde's voice shook slightly now. Vanessa only wanted to scare you. The order to poison her came from someone else. Zara felt her heart drop. Deeper, darker, more dangerous, she asked. Tunde hesitated again, but this time there was no escape. Your father. Silence. Total. Absolute. Zara blinked once, twice, then slowly she turned to Adrian. Her eyes searched his face for denial, for anger, for anything, but what she saw was something else, something that looked a lot like truth. No, she whispered. Adrian shook his head immediately. Zara, listen to me. But she stepped back like he had just become a stranger again. Don't. Don't. Her voice cracked, but her eyes hardened. You said you didn't know about me. I didn't. You said you came to fix things. I did. Then why is my mother dying because of you? The question hit harder than anything before it. Adrian didn't answer immediately because he couldn't. Because somewhere, in the shadows of his past, a decision had already been made, and now it was coming back to destroy everything. Zara shook her head slowly, backing away, piece by piece. This was all a lie. Her voice dropped. You brought me into your world, a pause. Tears fell freely now, just to destroy mine. She turned, walked away, not running, not stopping, gone. Adrian stood there, frozen, as everything he tried to fix collapsed again, and this time he might not be able to stop it. Zara disappeared. No calls, no messages, no trace. One moment she was standing in front of Adrian, her world shattered for the second time, and the next, she was gone. For 3 days, Lagos searched. Or rather, Adrian did. His men combed through Ajagunle. Every street, every alley, every contact, nothing. It was like she had vanished into thin air. Adrian stood in his office, staring at the city through the glass walls, his reflection looking like a stranger. She wouldn't just disappear, Daniel said carefully. Adrian didn't respond, because deep down, he knew something Daniel didn't. Zara wasn't running, she was planning. Meanwhile, Vanessa was losing control. What do you mean she's missing? She snapped, pacing her penthouse like a storm ready to break. Her informant stood nervously. We've searched everywhere. She's not in Ajagunle, not at the hospital, not with any known contacts. Vanessa's eyes darkened. This is not good. For the first time, she felt it. Not fear, but uncertainty. Because girls like Zara didn't disappear. They returned. And when they did, they came back different. Far away from the noise of Lagos, in an abandoned warehouse near the outskirts of the city, Zara sat in silence, alone, in the dark. Her eyes were open, but they weren't the same. The softness was gone, the confusion was gone, even the anger had changed. It had evolved into something colder, sharper, more dangerous. In front of her, a laptop glowed, files open, names listed, transactions exposed, Adrian Cole, Vanessa, unknown accounts, hidden dealings, and one file, marked years back. Zara leaned forward slowly, clicked it. The truth began to unfold. Back in the city, Adrian had finally reached his breaking point. Find her, he said, his voice dangerously calm. I don't care how, I don't care where, just find her. Daniel nodded quickly. Yes, sir. But before he could leave, Adrian added something else. And prepare a meeting. Daniel paused. With who? Adrian turned slowly. His eyes were no longer conflicted, no longer uncertain. With Vanessa. That night, the mansion felt different. Empty, cold, like something was about to end. Vanessa walked into the living room, her heels echoing softly against the marble floor. Adrian was already there, waiting. You wanted to see me, she said calmly. Adrian didn't waste time. Did you poison Aisha? Straight. Direct. Deadly. Vanessa didn't flinch. No. Adrian stepped closer. Don't lie to me. She tilted her head slightly. I didn't poison her, she repeated. I only wanted to scare the girl. A pause. Then, but clearly, someone else wanted more. Adrian's eyes narrowed. You expect me to believe that? Vanessa smirked faintly. You don't have to believe me, she said, but you should ask yourself one question. She stepped closer, lowered her voice. Who benefits the most from that woman dying? Silence. And just like that, a seed of doubt was planted. Elsewhere, Zara kept digging, kept searching, kept uncovering until she found it. The file, the one that changed everything. A document. Old, buried, forgotten, but not gone. Her hands trembled slightly as she opened it, read it, and froze. Because the truth was worse than she imagined. Years ago, before she was born, Adrian had made a decision. Not out of cruelty, not out of hatred, but out of ambition. A deal, a powerful one. One that required him to cut ties with anything that could weaken his image, including Aisha. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was what came after. A second document. Signed, approved, finalized, an order. To handle the situation. To make sure it never came back to him. Zara's breath caught. Her chest tightened, her vision blurred because she understood exactly what it meant. He didn't just leave, he tried to erase them. Her mother, everything. A tear rolled down her cheek, but her face didn't break. It hardened completely. "Now I understand," she whispered. Back at the mansion, Adrian stood alone again, the conversation with Vanessa replaying in his mind. Who benefits the most from that woman dying? He clenched his jaw because there was only one answer. Him. But something didn't feel right, because he didn't give that order. Not like that, or did he? His past wasn't as clean as he wanted to believe, and now it was coming back, hard, fast, unforgiving. That same night, a message was sent to Adrian, unknown number. He opened it and froze. A video. He played it. Zara appeared on the screen, standing in the same dark warehouse, her face calm, cold, unfamiliar. "You were right about one thing," she said slowly. Her voice carried no emotion. "I'm not just a Keke girl anymore." A pause. She stepped closer to the camera, and now, her eyes locked onto the lens, "I know everything." Adrian's grip tightened on the phone. "Zara," but she continued, "you didn't just abandon us. A beat. You tried to erase us." Silence. And then, the final blow. "So now," her lips curved slightly, not into a smile, but something far more dangerous. "I'm going to return the favor." The video cut. Adrian stood there, frozen, because in that moment, he realized something terrifying. He wasn't trying to save his daughter anymore. He was about to face her, and this time, she wasn't coming as his child. She was coming as his enemy. The attack didn't start with violence. It started with silence, the kind of silence that comes before everything collapses. At exactly 9 a.m., Adrian Cole's company's servers began to malfunction. At 9:03, financial records started disappearing. At 9:07, confidential emails were leaked to the press. By 9:10, Lagos' biggest business empire was bleeding in public. Daniel rushed into Adrian's office, breathless. "Sir, we've been breached." Adrian didn't look up from his desk. He already knew. His phone had been ringing nonstop for the last 10 minutes. Investors, partners, journalists. "What was taken?" he asked, his voice controlled. Daniel swallowed. "Everything." Across the city, Zara watched it all unfold on a cracked laptop screen. News channels flashed headlines: Coal Industries under investigation, illegal accounts linked to Billionaire Fry. She leaned back slowly, her face illuminated by the glow of the screen. Her heart wasn't racing. Her hands weren't shaking. She felt calm. "You built your empire on lies," she whispered. Now she was tearing it down with truth. Inside Coal Industries, chaos reigned. Employees whispered in corridors, phones rang endlessly, security ran back and forth like they were chasing ghosts. Adrian stood in the middle of it all like a statue in a storm. He knew exactly who was behind it, and he didn't stop it. Daniel stared at him in disbelief. "Sir, we have to shut this down. We can track the source. We can—" "No." Daniel blinked. "No?" Adrian finally looked up. "That's my daughter." The room went silent. Back in the warehouse, Zara watched the live broadcast of Adrian stepping out of his headquarters to address the press. Cameras flashed, microphones pushed forward. "Mr. Cole, are the allegations true? Did you embezzle company funds? Is it true you paid people to silence a former partner?" Zara's breath caught slightly at the last question. That one, she hadn't leaked. Adrian raised his hand for silence, and then he did something no one expected. "I will cooperate fully with the investigation," he said calmly. Zara frowned at the screen. This wasn't panic. This wasn't denial. It was acceptance. "What are you doing?" she whispered. Behind Adrian, Vanessa stood watching from a distance, her nails digging into her palm. This was not how this was supposed to go. Zara was supposed to destroy him emotionally, not legally. If Adrian fell, everything she had worked for would disappear too. And Vanessa didn't lose. Not to a girl from Ajagunle. That night, she made her final move. Zara received a message. "Your mother is asking for you." Her chest tightened instantly. Without thinking, she grabbed her keys and left the warehouse. The hospital corridor felt too quiet when she arrived. Too empty. Too still. But fear pushed her forward. "Mama," she whispered, stepping into the room. The lights went out. A click echoed behind her. Zara spun around and saw Vanessa standing in the doorway, gun in hand. "Hello, Zara," Vanessa said softly. Zara's heart slammed against her ribs, but she didn't step back. "You're desperate," she said coldly. Vanessa smiled. "I'm practical." She stepped fully into the room, closing the door behind her. "You've caused enough damage," she continued. "It's time this ends." Zara's eyes flicked briefly toward the bed. Her mother was still there, still unconscious, still vulnerable. "You won't shoot me," Zara said. Vanessa tilted her head. "Why not? Because you need me alive to control him." Vanessa's smile widened. "Not anymore." Before Zara could react, the door burst open. Adrian. "Drop the gun!" Vanessa flinched slightly but didn't lower it. "You should have stayed out of this," she said calmly. Adrian stepped forward, his hands raised slightly. "This isn't you." Vanessa laughed. "You really never understood me, did you?" Her finger tightened on the trigger. Everything slowed. Zara's breath caught. Adrian lunged forward. A shot rang out, but it wasn't Zara who screamed. It was Adrian. Vanessa staggered backward, blood spreading across her dress. She looked down, confused, then back up at Adrian. "You shot me?" Adrian's gun trembled in his hand. "I told you to drop it." Vanessa let out a weak laugh as she collapsed to the floor. "You chose her." Her eyes flicked briefly toward Zara. "Over me." Then they went still. Silence filled the room. Heavy, shocking. Final. Zara stood frozen, her ears ringing, her chest rising and falling rapidly. She looked at Vanessa's body, then at Adrian. "You killed her," she whispered. Adrian lowered the gun slowly. "I saved you." Zara shook her head, tears finally spilling. "No," she said. "You just proved who you really are." Behind them, a weak voice spoke. Zara, both of them turned. Aisha's eyes were open. Her voice trembled. But she was alive, and she had seen everything. The war had claimed its first life, but it wasn't over yet. Morning came quietly over Lagos. The city moved on, as it always did. Traffic, noise, survival. But for the Cole family, nothing would ever be the same again. Vanessa's death shook the media. Headlines screamed, "Billionaire fiancé shot in hospital." Drama investigations opened. Questions spread. Speculations ran wild. But inside the hospital room, none of that mattered. Aisha sat up weakly in bed, her hands trembling as she reached for Zara. "My child," she whispered. Zara rushed forward, holding her carefully, afraid she might break. "I'm here, Mama," she said, her voice finally soft again. Adrian stood at the corner of the room, watching them, not speaking, not moving, like a man waiting for judgment. Days later, the truth finally came out. Not from Zara, not from Vanessa, but from Adrian himself. He gathered them both in a quiet room at the hospital and placed a file on the table. "I need you to understand everything," he said. Zara didn't sit. "I already do." "No," he replied. "You don't." He opened the file. Inside was the original contract from years ago and a second page, unsigned, unexecuted. "The order to erase you," Adrian said slowly, "was drafted by my legal team to protect the company's image, but I never approved it." Zara's eyes narrowed. "I found out about it too late. By the time I tried to stop it, Aisha had already disappeared." Aisha nodded weakly. "I saw the document. I thought, you wanted us gone." Adrian's voice broke slightly. "I was a coward. I chose silence instead of fighting harder." Silence filled the room, heavy. Honest. Zara looked at the paper again, then at him. Years of anger clashed with something new. Understanding. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But understanding. Weeks passed. Adrian stepped down as CEO during the investigation. The company survived, but barely. He sold properties, paid settlements, and shut down the parts of his empire built on corruption. Zara stayed by her mother's side through recovery. She didn't go back to the warehouse. She didn't go back to the mansion either. Instead, she rented a small apartment, not in Ajagunle, not in Adrian's world, but somewhere in between. Her own space, her own choice. One evening, Adrian knocked on her door. Zara opened it slowly. They stood in silence for a moment. "I'm not here to ask for forgiveness," he said. "Good," she replied. A faint smile touched his lips. "I just wanted to know if you're okay." Zara thought about it, about everything. The pain, the betrayal, the war. Then she answered honestly, "I'm healing." Adrian nodded. "That's enough for me." He turned to leave, then stopped. "If you ever need anything," he said quietly, "I'll be there, not as a billionaire, just as your father." Zara didn't respond immediately, but as he walked away, she spoke softly. "Adrian." He turned. It was the first time she had said his name without anger. She hesitated, then, "Thank you for saving me." His eyes softened, and for the first time, there was peace between them. Not perfect, not complete, but real. Months later, Zara stood at the same bridge where everything began. Traffic roared. Keke weaved through cars. Lagos lived on. She smiled faintly. Because this time, she wasn't just surviving. She was choosing her future. Now tell me, what did you learn from this story? Drop your comment and don't forget to know that loving yourself is the best thing you can do. Subscribe to our channel, share this video to your friends, and like it. See you next time.